Hello and welcome to the SugarCoated Marketing Podcast, where you get sweet advice on how to improve your marketing and grow your business. I am David Paris, your host, and in this podcast series, I interview top experts who give advice on the subjects of marketing, copywriting, advertising, and we even throw in a hint of self-development. Today we have an awesome interview lined up with Eddys Velasquez of Brainbank Media, and Eddie shares with us what he calls the Water Faucet Strategy, which goes after the low-hanging fruit in Facebook ads, as well as how to bring traffic to your brick-and-mortar store. So, Eddys, how's it going?
Going pretty good, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, you've got a company called Brainbank Media. For those that have maybe never heard of it or aren't familiar with you, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the name Brainbank Media, when people hear it, they're just like, what does that even mean, right? Well, a few years ago, I used to partner up with topic experts, and I would show them basically how to, turn their brain into a bank that they could withdraw cash from, by turning their knowledge into info products, services, that type of thing. So that's where the name came from. But over the last few years, I've changed up the business model a bit, and now I have two arms, right? So I do one arm of the business is a lead generation service where I deliver live calls to call centers in different verticals in the finance space and different things like renewable energy. And the other side is consulting, right? Where businesses will kind of contract me to come in and find the leverage points in their business and help them scale up really fast. Whether it's tweaking their offers or going to Facebook traffic and that kind of thing.
When you said the term topic experts, do you mean people that are like in the top of their field and in an enthusiast niche?
Yeah, so I mean, they don't necessarily have to be like top in their field or anything like that, but it's just I'll give you an example. Back in 2013, I partnered up with a lady who happened to she had a fan page with 60,000 fans on the topic of eating a vegetarian diet, right? Vegetarian, vegan. So, for example, she didn't have a degree or anything. She hadn't, done seminars or anything like that, but she just happened to have a big audience and a lot of knowledge. So I was able to kind of go in there and, kind of package up what she knew into products, and the people, her audience just gobbled it up. And it was just other people like that. But that's essentially what I mean by like a topic expert.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, one of the main reasons I wanted to interview you for this podcast, you've been an Ask Method specialist with Ryan Levesque, and you know a lot about lead generation. So, in particular, one of the things I'd like to dive into is lead generation using Facebook ads for brick and mortar stores. A lot of the training marketing material that's out there is really focused on how to grow your online business. It's almost like they ignore brick and mortar stores, or maybe they don't even know how to begin to generate leads for them. And I think that that's something that you're an expert in.
Yeah, I have seen that. I feel like you're right. When you say that there's a lot of focus on the online business, and there's a lot of different advanced type of sales funnels and different things for online business. But the truth is, for brick and mortar, you can keep it very simple. I like to go back to the fundamentals and just help them out. Just simple landing pages, like one landing page, one offer page, traffic. And essentially, so it comes down to four things, right? You got to have, the brick and mortar has to have one compelling offer, right? And I can go through and we can explain each one. So it's one compelling offer, an irresistible upsell, right, or cross-sell. Then they have to know how to get the traffic to that offer, and then they have to learn how to track and analyze that data, right? So we can then go back and break that down. But that's essentially what they'll have to learn, or the four things that I recommend they do.
Yeah. Let's go through each one of those. I think it would be really helpful for those.
Yeah. So okay. So we'll start with the one compelling offer, right? So a lot of brick and mortar businesses, what they'll do is they have a website up. They might do a Facebook post here and there. They have some, social media fans. Maybe they have an Instagram or a YouTube, um, or they have a yellow page ad. But they send all their visitors, or all the ads are pointing to their homepage, right? So the visitors will get to the homepage, and they won't know what to do first, right? There's a lot of options. You might have an about, they might read about the business, but there is no direct path to giving the business money, right? Um, so what I like to help, the first thing I do with a brick and mortar business is say, okay, what is your core offer, or we figure that out. For example, um, let's just say a chiropractor, for example, they might have different types or what, let's do cryotherapy, right? Because that's one of the clients I've been working with, and they do what's called whole body cryotherapy, and you get into this machine, right? That kind of it's freezing in there, and that is their service, right? You go in that machine for like 3 minutes, it helps you recover. Anyway, that is their core service. Now they also offer different services, but what I told the guy was like, look, let's just focus on first creating one offer around this specific whole body cryotherapy service. Um, and so what we did was we created a first time only offer, right? First time customer offer. And it's a first time customer only offer is something that any brick and mortar business can create. It's fairly simple. It really comes down to, you're giving people a coupon or some kind of discount for being a first time customer. And what we do is once we come up with that offer, let's say it's a 50 or 60% discount, maybe it's a 40% discount. If it's not a discount, some brick and mortar businesses can give, some people call them bonuses or free gifts, uh, you know. Um, so in this case, we gave a first time customer discount of 60% off, and we put that on a landing page. And what a landing page is just a simple one page website that basically tells people what the offer is and has a form for people to put their name and email address to basically take advantage of the offer, right? To claim the offer. So that's the first thing, and so that's basically the compelling offer. I don't know if you want to go deeper into that, or if you have any questions around it.
Yeah, there's one thing I would want to discuss a little bit, and um, I don't know that it's necessarily a great idea to offer a discount, or definitely not every time, um, because I could see it like with a service like that. Um, well, I mean, I guess it really all boils down to calculating your cost per lead. Um, but say someone has more of like a physical product, um, like it's something that wears out, or maybe it's a restaurant or something where they don't necessarily want to give a discount. What would you use as a lead magnet in that circumstance, or maybe I'm totally off base with that.
No, got it. And it's a good point. There is, to a certain degree, um, there is truth to that. Where if you're always doing discounts, it does devalue kind of the value of the other products as well. People just kind of they then get trained to wait for the discount, right? But if you're not wanting to offer a discount, then other things you can say for you're a restaurant, you could offer, um, maybe you offer a free drink, and again, that is kind of like a discount, but it's you know really for brick and mortar business. I mean, that's essentially what I've found to work. Um, you can offer lead magnets, certain PD, reports on different things. But what I've found to really work well is some kind of coupon or a discount, like flat out. Like that's been what's worked. And yes, it could devalue the brand of the business if you overdo it. But I've just found it creates a buying frenzy. Right, you put an ad out there, you get people a coupon, and they share it. Right, so you get a bunch of the local people to share it with their friends, and if a Facebook person has an average of, what is it, like 150, 200 friends or something like that, and it just goes nuts. That's at least what I've found to work. The less of a barrier, I guess, that you have for somebody to give you money for that first transaction. I just found that to make things really easy, right? Making it very simple for them to just be able to give you a little bit of money as soon as once they turn into a customer, there's a whole paradigm shift there now, because now you can upsell them different things, and it's just a whole lot easier to sell them different things once they're already a customer.
Yeah, so the whole point with that is just to get them on your list, and then get them to become a customer, to and become used to being your customer.
Right, exactly.
What will be the next step once you've got someone on your list, or I guess how do you scale from there?
Okay, so all right, so that first step was a compelling offer, right? You come up with that offer, whether it's a coupon, some kind of discount, um, and from there you define your irresistible upsell, right? So one of the things that I found to work really well is a first visit offer, right? So something that a lot of clients will do is they'll have an offer that is only valid while they're in the store or while they're in the building. So as soon as after they've come, they've done their treatment, or they've bought the product, and as soon as they leave that door, right, that first time upsell is no longer valid, right? So in this case, let's say a chiropractor, they could sell additional sessions or session packages. Maybe they sell the next session at a specific discount again, or something that's only valid right there and then in the store, right? And I found that a lot of people will take you up on that, and I've just found that to be very valuable, right? So you have that, and then beside the first visit offer, you will then have other upsell offers that you then promote to the leads, right, that are now on your list, right? Because remember, on that landing page, they put in their name and email, so you now have them in the database. You have a database of all those prospects, and some of them are customers. And so from there, you just upsell them, and we can talk about that in just a bit. But essentially, that's the irresistible upsell. That would be the next step, right? So once they've got that compelling offer, the irresistible upsell, the next step is to get traffic, right? Because a lot of people will say, well, let me create that offer, let me create the upsell, and then people will automatically show up. No, they won't. You've got to actually get people over to your landing page, right? So that's where we can get into a lot of the Facebook stuff. If I don't know if you have any specific questions around that, or I can just go right into it.
I would just give a general overview. Because I mean, most of it, once you dive into the ads manager, is pretty straightforward. I think a lot of people struggle with the concept of how it works, not so much the actual technology side, because it really is very simple to do. And Facebook actually does have some pretty good instructions on it. I was able to just the first time I ever used it, pretty much dive in and figure it out with almost no instructions.
Right, exactly. It is very it is simple. What I can do, I can give like a big picture, like strategy, I guess, instead of the technical stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be what's most helpful, because um, the point of the podcast is more strategic concepts, and not so much technical stuff, and really not so much strategies in at all. It's more, these are the core concepts to use to increase your marketing, and how you go about doing it is you kind of have to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, then, all right. Let's get to it. As far as Facebook, The reason I like Facebook so much is because it's the social aspect of it, right? You can, if you put an ad on TV, for example, you can't just, and I mean, maybe you can now with some of the new TVs that they have, but at least before, you couldn't just share that commercial, right? You couldn't just, I mean, you would have to take a picture of it maybe or tell your friend about it. But now on Facebook, you're able to put up an ad and people with a touch of a button can share your ad, your commercial, right, to all of their friends, right? Which I find very, very powerful. And so, especially for a brick and mortar business, because, if you're obviously, you would be targeting people who live in that area or the surrounding areas. And when they share it, their friends also live in that area. So you become, I guess, locally famous instantly, right, is why I like using Facebook. What I would do first is there's this, I get this question a lot, right? Will Facebook work for my business? Does Facebook actually work? Some of the people say, well, I've tried it already. Leads are too expensive. I'm not able to do it. I'm subscribed to Forbes, and I think it was a recent issue where there's this company called littlepassports.com. And what they do is, I think they send like little adventure packs to kids, and it's like a monthly subscription. Anyway, so I think they were also on Shark Tank, and they didn't get an investment. They tried to get investments for different things, do different advertising campaigns, didn't work. And then finally, what the article was saying in Forbes was that one of the owners, she decided to gamble $30,000 into lookalike audiences on Facebook. And essentially what a lookalike audience is a audience Facebook will take a look at your existing customers, and it'll say, okay, it'll analyze different data points, and it'll go out and find more people like them, right? So this lady from Little Passports used those types of audiences, and according to the article, they tripled her customer database in like 6 months, right?
Wow.
Just using lookalike audiences, right? It's amazing, right? Because it's like, something simple as that. And all it takes is for a brick and mortar business or any business to, get your customer list, upload it to Facebook, create your lookalike audiences, and put up an ad, right? Because Facebook has so much data, right? They probably even know better than you do, right, who your customers are, because they have so much data, right? So they're able to say, here's, okay, we see that Joe is your customer. We know that we know that Robert is similar to Joe, so we're going to show your ad to Robert as well, right? Because that's essentially what they're doing. Anyway, so that's kind of with Facebook is what I do. I go after the low-hanging fruit. I take the brick-and-mortar business's customer list, I take their email list, and I create lookalike audiences, and I just send ads to that. And we're just directing those ads back to the landing page with that one offer. And again, that's all we're doing. And the more when we set it up in such a way that the more traffic that you get or the more visitors you get to your website, the better your ads will get. And by better, I mean, you'll get cheaper cost per lead. You'll get a cheaper cost per customer acquisition. And, that's essentially the big picture of what I do. I upload their customer lists and create lookalike audiences and then just drive ads to those audiences.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I mean, those are definitely some big results that company was able to get. Um, I think Facebook is one of the only platforms that you can really scale like that at that little of a cost.
Right, exactly. And imagine it was only $30,000 and they tripled their customer database. Like, it's amazing.
So, Eddie's, you mentioned upsells before, and um, basically once you've got all of this new traffic coming to your site, and you have people taking you up on your irresistible offer, um, how do you make that offer profitable? Because I don't think that it's really sustainable to send a couple thousand people to buy your product at a discount, and then that's a good way to go out of business really quickly.
Yeah, I guess behind that, I guess it depends on the economics of the business, right? So, for example, one of the clients that I had was a cryotherapy business. They're even with the discount, they're still making a profit from even when you include the cost of the ad spend, when you include the actual cost of delivering the service, you got their payroll overhead, the actual cost of running the machine. Even with that discount, they were still making a profit on the front end.
So it's definitely important to have that calculated out beforehand, which I hope that that's obvious for most people. But I guess one other thing you could do with that, if you're a relatively newer company or if you're not very well known yet, is you could just raise your prices and then offer a discount on the price, just to give you a little bit more padding. I mean, the economics of that really depends on the niche market that you're in and the area that you're in and what you're selling. Um, but yeah, so once you have people coming in, then you give them some type of upsell. But what's the next step after that? Like how do you scale from there? Or well, I'll let
Right.
you. Well, I think that this is what you call your water faucet strategy.
Water Faucet Strategy. Yeah, it's essentially that where I guess I'll briefly explain where that came from. I had a client he had called me to tell me about the results of some of the campaigns he was running, and essentially he said, "Eddys, thank you. You gave me the confidence that essentially I know I can go to Facebook, I can click a few buttons, and I know with 100% confidence that customers will come out that other side, right? Kind of like a water faucet, kind of like turning on the tap is what he told me. And I just found that very interesting because essentially that's kind of how it is, right? So the process that I use for that is, again, what I mentioned with the lookalike audiences, but after you have the leads now, is I set them up for 12 months, you have one or two promotions per month to that list, right? And these can be theme based. Maybe it's around a holiday, maybe it's Black Friday, maybe it's Easter, or getting ready for the summer. Different theme based promotions, one or two per month. And I do that for the next 12 months, right? We plan out a full 12 months of promotions like that. And essentially, these are just email promotions, right? Being sent out to that database that you've been generating from the Facebook ads. And that is one arm of the water faucet system, right? The other arm is what I call segmented promotions, right? So the first one are just promotions that you send out to the entire database, right? Whether they're prospects, whether they're existing customers, doesn't matter. They get those one or two promotions per month, right? That next arm is segmented promotions. Those promotions are specific to where that prospect or customer is in their journey, right? And what I mean by journey is like where are they at, right? What have they bought? How long has it been since they bought? So to give you an example, something you could do is I usually like to do a promotion at 30 days and at 60 days once the customer is bought, right? So the customer came in, or the prospect came in, they bought the front end offer. They maybe decided not to take an upsell, right? So now what I'll do is within those first 30 days, I'll have a specific promotion to try to get them to take the upsell within 30 days, right? If they don't take that upsell, right, or even if they do, I have another promotion that is then geared to get them to become a customer, whether they're buying more of the same product or whether they're buying another product or service within 60 days, right? So then what I've done is they came on, they bought once, Within 30 days, they bought again. Within 60 days, they've bought again, right? The other thing is I also like to capture birthdays, right? Because then you can run a promotion specifically. You can run a promotion every single day of the year to the people who have a birthday that day, right? Anyway, those are just a few examples. Like there are, literally so many different ways you can come up with reasons to do promotions. But I divide them like that. So ARM 1 are 1 or 2 promotions per month for everyone on the database, no matter where they're at, what they bought. Then ARM number 2 is segmented promotions based on how long it's been since they've bought and what other products have they bought, right? Or whether it's their birthday or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So for those promotions that you're sending out via email, um, if the person comes into the store, is there a way to track that, or would you just have like a printed flyer that could maybe be scanned, or would you have it so they could just order through the website, or
Yeah. So again, that also depends on what software that your business has. But usually, like if you have like a CRM, or even if like let's say there are certain autoresponders where you can tag people, you can either hook up the point of sale system. You can either hook that up to your autoresponder system, or if you're doing it manually, like you could have like an iPad out there or something, and when somebody comes into the store and purchases, you just have that cashier or that person who's there just ask the customer their name, their email, and then you can manually look them up in the autoresponder system and then just tag them. Right? You can tag them as a customer of XYZ product, or maybe they bought this much. You could do it manually, or there's ways to automatically do it too.
I'm going to circle back and add this part in, but I think it's incredibly powerful to do the birthday offer because it goes back to I think Brian Tracy was the one that originated the WIIFM, the "What's in it for me." Everyone's favorite day of the year is their birthday, so I think that's a really powerful offer.
Oh, absolutely.
It gives the perception that you're not just in it for the profit; you actually care about your customers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it completely shows that you care, because they're like, wow, they remembered my birthday, even if you have it on automated, right? But they still feel like, wow, like they remembered my birthday. This is awesome, right?
Yeah, it creates a special experience, and I mean, it's interesting too because like as connected as we are in the world today, and how we're able to communicate with technology, um, personal relationship wise, we're one of the most unconnected societies. And you know, how much more powerful would something like that be if you were the only person that wished them a happy birthday, or you're one of five people, or the only person outside of their immediate family that did that. So
Right, and they'll never that leaves they'll never forget you after that, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think that that's how you create a really powerful brand, and you get lifelong customers. And it also ties directly into Facebook, because then, you know, if that type of situation did happen, then the person's going to go and tell everyone they know, that so and so was the only person that remembered my birthday.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. They're gonna tell their friend. Oh, and now that you mentioned Facebook, that reminds me. There's also a feature on there where you can run ads to people that have birthdays that month, right? And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might be a new feature. I have to go double check, but I think you can now even run ads to people who have friends who will have a birthday. I think I have to double check on that. But even if they don't have that feature yet, what you can do is you frame the ad to the friend who has friends who's going to be their birthday, and you can run campaigns that way as well. But the other thing I forgot to mention with those promotions that I run through the email is I also simultaneously run Facebook ads for that promotion. So each email that you send out, right, gets turned into a Facebook ad, for example. And maybe not each email, but the majority of them get turned into a Facebook ad. And so they're seeing you not only in their inbox, they're seeing you on Facebook, right? You're following them everywhere, right? And if it's a birthday promotion, even better. So you can, celebrate their birthday on Facebook as well. They share it, and it's a good thing for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's a great retargeting strategy. Would you also run that just generically, or would you just run it to people that have signed up for your list?
And when you mean run it, what do you
Uh,
mean, like run the promotion, or?
yeah. Sorry. Let me clarify. So you've sent out the email promotion, and then you're also running the promotion as an ad on Facebook. Um, is that just a retargeting ad that it only goes to the people that are on your email list, or is it
Yes.
also just a generic ad that could be used for lead generation or sales? I would think you would use it for retargeting.
Yeah, I like to keep it simple where I just do it for people on the list. And the reason I do that is I like to reward people for being on the list, right? So if you're on the list, you're a VIP person, right? You are now part of the inner circle of that business. So you're going to get special offers, you're going to get special treatment, you're going to get, entertaining emails, you're going to get special videos that the general public doesn't have access to. Right. So I like to frame it that way. Now, yes, I do from time to time will, take some of those promotions that worked really well. I'll kind of reformat them a bit, and then I'll send those out to the general public. But for the most part, I just kind of keep it for the list.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see why you call that the water faucet strategy, because once you get it going, I think you've created a really powerful system to generate new sales for your business.
Oh yeah, and the other thing it does is it fireproofs your business, right? Because let's say, I'm not saying I want, I'm not wishing this on anyone, but if one day you woke up and your building or your business burned to the ground, right? You what you do have now, you still have that list, right? You can move to another city. You can be in that same city. You can still make sales to that list, right? You can very quickly get into another building, there's so many things you can do once you have that list, right?
Yeah, because you've still got your way to engage and interact with your customer.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, really, it just comes down to, building up and it's really literally just 2 pages, right? You have your landing page for the compelling offer that captures the name and email. Then you've got the offer page, which is essentially the page that they see after that landing page, which gives them the details of the offer and whether to call you or to come into the store, or maybe there's some kind of online booking that they do. And your whole goal at the end of the day is just to get as many people as you can through that process, right? To come to that landing page, they opt in, as many people on your list as you can. Because then once you've got those promotions rolling over that 12-month period, like each customer will be worth so much to you, right? And essentially, you turn on the tap and send a few emails, and customers come through.
So Eddie's, let's just do a quick recap of what the steps are.
Yeah, yeah. So the 4 steps are: step 1, have one compelling offer, right? And that's so that people know exactly what to do, and it makes it easy for people to give you money. Right? That's one compelling offer. Step 2 is having an irresistible upsell or upsells. And essentially, an upsell is just something else that you sell to people that buy your front end offer, your front end product. And step 3, getting traffic, which is what we mentioned through Facebook, which is my preferred way of doing that. And step 4 is tracking and analyzing your data.
Yeah, and that's probably the most important step.
Yeah, because if you're not tracking your data, it essentially data is what lets you make good decisions, right? And decisions about everything. What other products are you going to sell? Which products to focus on? Where to sell your products, right? So, for example, one of the big things that I advise business owners to do is to, at least on a weekly basis, or if you have somebody on staff that can check it on a daily basis, but at least on a weekly basis, go into your Facebook and you're looking at, okay, what is my cost per lead overall? What is my cost per lead per target, right? Per ad set that you're doing, per target audience that you're targeting, essentially. And you are looking for gems, right? And what I mean by a gem is sometimes you'll find that there's one ad set that's targeting a specific demographic that is just killing it, right? You're doing maybe 50 cents per lead, but the problem is you have that at a budget of $5 a day, right? So if you knew that, or if you discovered that, you could go in there and add more budget to it. Maybe move it to $25 or to $50 a day or to $100 a day, right? Now, and that's just one example, right? But then there's other things like once you have your promotions going, you go into your autoresponder software and you look at the emails you've been sending out for those promotions, and you look at which emails are the ones that are producing the most sales, and then you go back in there and you go into that email and you say, okay, well, why did this one produce the most sales? Okay, and that's where we get into you get into copywriting, where you figure out was it a story that you used? Was it a particular emotion? Was it maybe you added extra urgency, or maybe there was some scarcity going on there, right? So those kind of things is you want to be aware of what is producing, what is generating the sale specifically, right? Is it this ad set? Is it this particular email? One software that I'll share that I use is Volume. It's spelled VOLUM.com, and essentially what I use Volume for is it lets you track where your sales are coming from Facebook down to the ad, right? So you may have an ad set with 5 or 10 ads in there, and so you want to know, hey, which ad did this particular customer come from, or this particular sell? Well, it came from that specific ad, right? And then when you know things like that, you're able to go back, analyze the ad, and say, okay, what made this ad work? And then you just replicate that across all your other ads, right? And that's essentially what I do with tracking and analyzing. That's what I mean by that is you want to know what's going on with your numbers so that you know which points to use now or to replicate in everything else that you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, realistically, if you're not tracking this and you're not really keeping score with it, I think to a large extent you're either guessing or wasting your time. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. And like when you hear someone say, well, Facebook is a waste of time or Facebook didn't work, it wasn't so much that it was you didn't do the research, and that's why your marketing didn't work.
Right, exactly. And most of the time, even if they did do the research, but they just didn't know how to track the data. For example, let's say they're spending, they spent $500 in a day on Facebook, and they say, well, I didn't make any sales off of that. Well, it's like, well, are you tracking it somehow? Like, do you know if that traffic actually came and bought 5 days later? Like, do you know that? Maybe the people that you spent $500 on come back and they buy $3,000 worth of stuff, right? But if you're not tracking that, you wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that last step, and I think I wouldn't say it's the most important because they're all important, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely something that you need to have your thumb on is the numbers and what specifically is generating the sales, which ads, what emails, and then what of those ads. Like you're looking for the universal strategies, I guess you could call them. And once you find those things that are producing the sale, you then apply those universal strategies to everything else that you do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Eddys, it was fantastic to have you on the show. Is there any last things that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I guess I'd say, if you're a brick and mortar business, or even if you're an online business and you've never tried Facebook ads before, either because you think, maybe it won't work for your business, or because you think it's too expensive, or it's just never worked for you in the past, give it another shot. Go out and, learn what it takes to be successful on Facebook. Get better at writing ads, get better at being able to target people on there, take different courses, hire consultants, because Facebook will literally it'll change your life. Essentially, it'll change your business. You will have as many customers as you want, and all it takes is just learning how to do Facebook right. So yeah, I mean that's what I'd leave them with, and I'd say there's a lot of opportunity for growth there using the internet or Facebook if they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and if anyone would want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, they could go to brainbankmedia.com. It's essentially just a page for people to contact me. I don't have a formal website or anything because I've really essentially just been too busy fulfilling the services with clients. So I haven't had the time to create a proper website. But yeah, just go to brainbankmedia.com. Send me a message. We'll talk. I don't really take on a lot of clients. We just kind of talk it out. If I can help you, I'll let you know. If I can't, I'll probably still help you through email a little bit and point you in the right direction. And yeah, we can just go from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Eddys.
All right, David, no problem.